Penhaul from Lemon and Lime Interiors. We're a property staging company and we help vendors and estate agents get property ready to come onto the market using staging as a marketing tool to make sure that everything that we prepare for the market sells for the best offer possible as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to talk to you for a little while today about what property staging is, what it isn't, and how you might go about doing it for yourselves. We know that a lot of people through lockdown don't necessarily want other people into their homes to help them get a property ready for sale, but the tips that I'll talk through today will help you get your properties ready for sale yourselves. So you'll have to bear with me a little bit on the technology because it's the first time I've done it like this. But here goes. So I'm sharing my screen with you, I hope. So property staging, really, it's your homeowner's guide to selling your biggest capital asset for the best possible price. That's the aim, and the aim of any time, effort or spend that you put into staging is designed to get you the best possible sale that you can. So what is property staging? It is a marketing tool, and it is a way to communicate the lifestyle that your home offers to your buyer. What it isn't, and it's a common misconception, it isn't interior design, and it isn't creating a bespoke style for your home to suit your personal taste. Any spend or any time and effort that you spend getting a property ready for sale in staging terms is designed to help your sale. Why would you use it? Well, some statistics here which have come from the Home Staging Association of UK and Ireland. It's come from the statistics that they collect on an annual basis. These are last year's figures. So 100% of estate agents say that home staging makes it easier for a buyer to visualise a property as their future home. 94% of estate agents said that staged homes sell faster than non-staged homes. So in other words, if you've put some effort into the presentation, then it's likely that it will sell faster than something that where somebody has just decided to market their home as is. And 100% of estate agents say that properties with professional photos get more viewings than properties with poor quality images. And I think these days, coming into a kind of post-lockdown housing market, that is even more applicable in terms of any video that's being created. So it's very difficult for even the best photographer to take photographs of a home that is untidy or where it has empty rooms, for example. When is the ideal time to use property staging? Well, there are two options really. One is at the beginning. So your photos and increasingly your videos are the shop window for your property. And as we've said, post-lockdown, many vendors will only want to host viewings for somebody who's actually a serious potential buyer. They won't want a lot of people trooping in and out of their homes in the way that it's perhaps been possible in the past to do so. And the best photographer in the world can only take pictures of what's there. So you need to get your presentation right. If you can do that ahead of going onto the market, then that's absolutely the best time, because then the property doesn't get stale on the market and you're attracting in those crucial first 2 or 3 weeks the best possible market that you can do. So we would always say, if you possibly can, work to get your property presented as well as it possibly can be right from the beginning of your marketing. If for whatever reason that isn't the case and that isn't what you've been able to do, then if you get to the stage where your property has been stuck on the market for a little while and you're perhaps not attracting any interest either through your photos on Rightmove or through when you're getting viewings, you're not getting great feedback, what will happen? The chances are that as a vendor, you'll invite round 2 or 3 more estate agents to get their opinion on why you haven't yet sold. And potentially you might be looking to change your agent at that point. However, what we would say to you is, before you accept that you might need to drop the price, and it may be that you do need to do that eventually, but before you accept that, first of all, take note of any feedback that you've had from any viewings that you have had, and also ask your agent to provide you a report of how much interest and how many click-throughs you've attracted on property portals. And if what you're finding is that those click-throughs aren't happening, then the presentation may be at least as much to blame as the price that you're on the market at. So it's really well worth having an honest second opinion about the presentation of your property before you agree a price drop. So usually a price drop, to make any difference, you're going to want to drop, likelihood is you're going to want to drop the property into the next Rightmove bracket or next Zoopla bracket going down on the portals, which may be as much as 5 or 10% depending on what price point you're on at. And any amount of time or effort or even money that you put into staging your property will be significantly less than that. And it may well make the difference. We've seen a lot of properties where actually somebody has changed the price quite dramatically in some cases, and it's made no difference whatsoever to the interest, because the house looks like perhaps a project. It looks like it's very cluttered. The decor is very dated, for example, and people look at it on property portals, on the photos, and think, oh gosh, that's a lot of work, and I don't really want to spend any more time or money doing the work once I've bought somewhere, so I'm not going to buy. Remember, of course, that these days the people who are looking at properties online with a mind to buying are also looking at things like Instagram. They're looking at Facebook images. They're looking at house. They're looking at nice magazines or even television of really nice looking properties, and that's what they want in their heart to buy. So the closer you can get your property, and we know real life isn't like that, so you do have to do some work ahead of time, the closer that you can get your property to those images, the better, really. So it's how you go about that. Now, there are lots and lots of steps to this, but we've tried to simplify it because this is our expertise as a business. We've simplified it down to 7 steps, 7-step system. And the acronym here that we've used is ADDRESS. And I'll talk through each of those and show you some photos and things as we go through this. So assess. We'll talk about assessing who your buyer is going to be and also how big the problem is in terms of what you need to do before you get ready for sale. Then you'll need to do some decluttering. Many of you will have heard the dreaded declutter word. Strikes fear into the hearts of all of us. Trust me, even me, I would have to declutter if I sold mine. Not looking forward to that bit, because it's not how we live in our homes. And equally, there's a balance between decluttering and making a house completely soulless. So it's getting that balance right that's really important. Decorate. You may or may not need to do any decorating depending on when you last decorated your home. Decorating may be tired. It may reflect the time that you bought the property rather than the market that you're now selling into. So that's important to think about. Reimagine. As we live in a property, we use spaces to suit ourselves. And that may not necessarily be the way that the majority of people would live in your home, particularly if you've lived there for a long time. And many people will have repurposed rooms as a family grows up, for example. So what was a bedroom might become a hobby room as one of the children has left home, or we've seen ironing rooms created, for example, out of a spare bedroom, or, all kinds of things. So it may be that you have to reimagine the space a little bit before you come onto the market. Emphasize. It's about creating little corners of the house that really sell the lifestyle that you think a buyer could enjoy in your property. It might be the features that you've really loved about that house, and you're going to create those little features into just really emphasize them. You might be putting a bottle of wine in a place, or setting out coffee cups, for example, feels a little bit contrived. It might feel a little bit contrived, but on the other hand, it's aimed then at getting you the best possible set of photos, which is your shop window to sell your home. Then you're going to stage, and the staging might be about putting furniture in where there is no furniture. So perhaps you've got an empty room, or a room which has been used as a store, so you need to chuck out the furniture or put it into storage, and backfill so that that room looks like a bedroom again. Or it may be that for whatever reason you've moved out of your home before your sale. You may already have bought something else, and you may need to put furniture in, because it's really hard for your viewers to see the space that a property offers when it's empty. And bedrooms are a really good example. People will imagine that if you say on the details it says a double bed, unless there's a double bed in that room, many viewers will go in and say, I don't think you could fit a double bed in there. So if you know that you can fit a double bed into that room, then put a double bed in the room, because that will help you get your buyer. And then the last stage is sell. Gosh, the sun keeps making me go very dark, sorry. The last stage is sell, and that's about getting the right team around you to get your sale as quickly as you possibly can. So going through those things. So first of all, have a little think about who your buyer might be going to be. Think about who you were when you bought the house, and think about who do you think the space that this house offers, the area that it's in, perhaps the garden, the extra rooms for a gym, another office, all the things that have suddenly become really important. Who do you think is going to be buying your property? Perhaps it's a first-time buyer. What does the price point look like is the other consideration here, of course. It might be somebody upsizing, a young family upsizing to something a little bit bigger, so they want more bedrooms. So make sure that the rooms that could be bedrooms are bedrooms. And it might be somebody downsizing from a much bigger property. Well, they're used to perhaps having 2 bathrooms as opposed to 1, and then something that looks like the children's toys have taken over the bath. So you know, think about those things. Who are you selling to? What are they looking for? That might be a conversation that you have with your agent. It might be a conversation that you have with your friends, or you look around to see what other properties on your street have already, what type of people have bought the ones that have been sold relatively recently. The other thing to assess is how big the problem is. So in other words, how much work you think you're going to have to do ahead of your sale. So that might be looking at how much decluttering. It might be looking at whether there's any decorating to be done. We'll go through those steps in a second. And the best way, to be honest, the best way of doing that is to go around and take a set of photos. So take a set of photos of your own property and imagine that those are the properties that are going to go onto Rightmove. Put them on as big a screen as you possibly can once you've taken the photos. So don't look at them on your phone screen. Put them onto a laptop, put them onto something bigger, onto a monitor, or connect up your phone to a television screen so that you can see them as big as you possibly can. Things will jump out at you and say, oh my goodness, I can't sell it, you know, with that corner so cluttered, or I can't sell it with that bookcase spilling books out all over the floor, or whatever it is. So look at that through as if you were your viewer. If you could get a friend to come and talk to you about it, obviously social distancing these days, or professional to come and look at it, or somebody to do that on a video call. We're doing lots of remote staging on video calls at the moment to talk people through how to do these steps for themselves, but because we can see a lot on a video call. So that's good too. That's a good way of doing it too. So all that assessing what you've got to do first. Next bit, declutter. Sorry, it's inevitable. Nobody's buying your stuff. it feels very rude when, as a buyer, when you go into a property and somebody hasn't bothered to tidy up. You can't see the space that's on offer, and it feels as though when you go into a house that's very cluttered, you start thinking, what else have they not really paid any attention to? If they're willing to live with this much clutter and show it off to a complete stranger like this, have they looked after the roof? Have the windows been recently painted or repaired? Have any of the little jobs been done? So that's the message. A lot of clutter isn't just about the clutter, it's the message that you're giving your buyers about caring or not caring about how you sell the property. So cluttering is about tidying up, and you're going to have to decide what you're going to do with things. Are you taking it with you? And do you need it now? If the answer to both of those is yes, then it's allowed to stay in the room. If the answer to either of those is no, then you're going to have to get rid of some things. If you're not taking it with you, decide where it's going: charity shop, skip, friend, whatever, the bin. If it is going with you but you don't need it now, think about where you're going to keep it in the meantime. We used to say, before COVID-19, we would say, well, box it up and put it in the garage, for example. Increasingly, garages, sheds, outside spaces have become as critical as the inside spaces. People want to know that there's space to have a gym or perhaps another office, and you can create all of those from a garage or from an outbuilding of some sort. So we now are saying, well, look, try and get your stuff off-site. So think about off-site storage, think about a family member who's got an empty garage, think about a friend who might lend you a bit of space in the meantime. So get things out, declutter, box things up. You can see on these photos, just amazing difference that, you kind of go from, let me just look over here. So you go from something like this to magically something like this with a massive amount of decluttering, moving furniture and so on and so forth. But it makes a huge difference. I mean, most of us would much rather buy something that looks like the bottom row of properties than the top row. And they're all real life examples of properties that were on the market or had been on the market before we got involved and asked to suggest why they might not be selling. You can probably see why they weren't for yourselves in looking at those photos. Next thing, if you've got dated or tired decor, then think about the decorating that you might need to do. That's about inside and about outside. So the middle photos, for example, was a garage which had almost become unapproachable because the bit of paving outside it had broken, it was cracked, there were a lot of loose slabs and weeds going through. So we helped the owners there get the drive just re-gravelled outside of there, so that the garages then suddenly were usable space for cars as well as for stuff or people walking in and out. A lot of purple walls was deeply unfashionable at the point where this property came onto the market. So we helped get that one painted. And on the right-hand side there, on the screen, you can see where we've taken quite a dated-looking kitchen. We see lots of pine kitchens or old wood kitchens, which just look dated. All they need is a lick of paint. And paint the cupboards, and dramatically they look like quite a fashionable painted solid wood kitchen, which has a very different appeal to the dark oak that was kind of very 90s, if you like. So so think about the decorating both inside and out. Maybe that window frames need painting, fascia boards need painting. Don't forget that all of those things people will drive past and look and decide if they want to view before they book the viewing. So even if you've managed to avoid the photos being taken of those bits, people will drive past before they actually decide to buy. So think about your decorating. Reimagine, this goes back to making sure that every room has a purpose that feels current and necessary for the people who are going to be buying your property. Not for you. It was really useful as a dumping ground. It was a really useful room as your ironing room or as the kids' music room. But actually, it should be for your buyers. They would much rather have a home office. They would much rather have an extra bedroom, or they would much rather have a gym, for example. So make sure that every room has a purpose that's current. Emphasize. These are little bits, we call them vignettes. I didn't know what vignette meant for a very long time, but I've kind of learned. And these are the little bits that really you think, oh, gosh, I'd love to be sitting at that table with friends now, having a glass of wine and sitting down ready for dinner. Or, wow, that home office really looks like a very calm space where I could work. So, for example, just create a book corner. The bottom right photo is setting out your coffee cups outside on an outside table and then getting your photos taken of those bits. It's quite straightforward to do, but it does require an amount of thought ahead of time. So think about, what are the really special places in your home? What are the real lifestyle elements that you're now trying to sell to your buyer? And create those, create the pictures. You know the old adage about a picture creating 1,000 words? That's what you're doing. You're using your photos to create 1,000 words about how somebody might be going to live in your home, so that you're then not just attracting the buyer that wants to live in your home and they're going to make you an offer. You want to attract competing buyers. You want to attract so many people that have fallen in love with your home because you've made it look so attractive that actually they're fighting over it. And you know, and that's really the intention of staging, that you're not just attracting the one buyer that's out there, you're attracting a number of buyers so that you're getting the absolute best price possible as quickly as you can. Stage empty rooms don't sell well. You can't photograph empty rooms. They look horrible. You can't video empty rooms. I had a conversation with our videographer last week, and he said, you know, Elaine, it's pointless me being here because I can't take photographs of this property. I can't create a video. All the walls look the same. All the rooms look the same. And it was an empty home. Eventually we did some virtual staging in that one and created quite a nice video. But empty rooms don't sell well. Partly empty rooms don't sell well. So if you're in that situation, think about either borrowing or renting some furniture to go into that property while you're on the market. And then the last bit is selling. Finding a team. You need a good estate agent, not the cheapest estate agent who's going to overvalue and charge you the lowest commission. That estate agent probably isn't doing the best job in getting the sale for your home. You need to be thinking about, it's like anything, isn't it? You know, you pay for what you get. And if you're paying somebody to do a really good job for you, you're expecting them to do a really good job for you. And you can have that conversation. You need constant feedback. You need somebody to have the budget, feel that they've got the budget in what you're paying them as a vendor to do the marketing effectively for your property. You want to know that they're on social media or on all the platforms, because so many people are now looking on social media for their new home. And you want to be able to have a conversation with them about how the property is presented and the marketing literature that they're creating for you. So thinking about all of those things in choosing your estate agent. Thinking about your solicitor. You know, so many sales get held up because the solicitors aren't really on the ball. They're not pushing something through, or they're not getting communication from the other side. So again, let's pull in, you know, find yourself a solicitor that's really going to do the job, not just the cheapest one. Get recommendations, interview them, talk to them, find out what they've done, find out what their average sale time is to completion of a sale. There are conveyancing comparisons on the comparison websites. Find out first. And if you need some help with getting ready, then engage the services of a professional home stager. There are a number of us around these days, and think about what questions you want to ask them. What might you want to know? It's quite a personal relationship, to be honest. Going in and helping somebody declutter, getting somebody decorated, you spend some time with them. So find out what their data is, what a difference it's made in the homes that they've worked in, what type of homes they've worked in. Some stagers specialise in smaller properties for rent, some specialise in the middle of the market, and some specialise in the higher end of the market. Fit your property to the stages that you're going to bring in. Obviously, from my point of view, check out our website. We host lots of examples of properties and so on there, or get in touch and just ask questions. We love to chat. We love to answer your questions, and we'd be really pleased to hear from you, whether you're an agent or a vendor. How much does it cost? That's the kind of $1 million question. And people always say, it's too expensive to get somebody in to help. Well, that's fine. Lots and lots and lots of firms, including us, we will do a consultation face-to-face in normal times. We're doing them by video now, but we'll do a consultation for nothing. You've then got some top tips to take forwards, and you can put in a do-it-yourself version of your staging with some advice. So you've had some advice, and now you can crack on with it rather than feeling that you're all alone in the process. Equally, if you're looking at professional staging, it might cost you 0.25% or a few £100s of your guide price, up to 2% perhaps if you're fully furnishing an empty property ready for sale. So that will include everything from the sofas that come in to the art on the walls. So that's what you should expect to be paying if you get professional help. But you can do it by yourself. But I would definitely tap into the staging companies that offer free consultations if you're even thinking about it. They'll walk through the property with you and just give you some tips of what to do, and it can make a huge difference. And if we can help, do by all means get in touch. It would be lovely to hear from any of you and to talk about it a bit more if you've got any questions. Okay, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Thank you very much for having me, and good luck getting your absolute best sale as quickly as you possibly can as the market comes back now. Fingers crossed for all of us. Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.